Welcome to Freedom Decoded. This podcast is from us. We are Carey and Demir Bentley, productivity coaches and co-founders of the Lifehack Method. This format is where we are going two-on-one. Demir and I both coaching one of our amazing Lifehack Tribe members on the productivity issues that are keeping them stuck and keeping them held back from their highest self and from achieving their ideal life. So we hope you enjoyed this in-depth coaching session. It is completely raw and unfiltered, and we hope that you get so much out of it.
Hello, everybody. Today, we're joined by Bonnie Chan, a life coach, entrepreneur, and mom of two boys in the busy tween and teach stage. Her husband works long hours as an accountant, which means that Bonnie carries a lot of the rhythm and logistics of managing the house. This past year, Bonnie faced a major health scare, and that's had a deep impact on her, both emotionally and physically. After months of healing and a lot of inner work, she's now in a better place and just ready to refocus on what matters the most, her health and her family, and relaunching her coaching practice this fall. Top values are family and growth and health and contribution and fun, so you're a typical life hacker in that sense. But right now, she's feeling the weight of just trying to live them all without enough structure to support it. Also very typical of our clients who come into us. So that's what brought her here today. She's looking for help freeing up time and headspace by creating sustainable systems across many areas of her life, her health routines, her home organization, her parenting logistics, and her family connection time. So the goal here is she wants to create systems so she's not feeling so stretched thin and she starts to feel grounded again. Bonnie, welcome. Why don't you take a moment to fill in any blanks or share anything that we missed there?
Well, that's a great summary. Thank you so much, Demir. And I'm so grateful to be here. I don't know if there are any blanks. I think I'll just share from watching and listening and experiencing Demir and Carey is, that you're like my ultimate dream, desire, and goal. I'm grateful for this opportunity because, you had an offer that was created that I said yes to. And myself being a coach, I have a lot of self-awareness. And one of my limiting beliefs has always been being not ready. I'm like, I'm not ready yet. Demir has all these amazing calls that I need to listen to first before I can do anything like next, right? And I haven't had a chance to go through all the content, and the contents are amazing, but I just don't have the capacity, time, energy to go through it. So I catch myself in that not ready mode. And when the opportunity came up, I'm like, okay, Bonnie, here it is, an opportunity.
Go for it.
Tell me what to do first. That would be amazing. So my desire is to, and I've had this desire for years and years, is to have systems that actually work, that myself am following through with, and my whole family, husband and kids, all can participate in, right? So that the nerves, right? A lot of times I'm repeating myself often. I know your kids are a little younger. My kids are older, but I'm repeating myself, right? Like, this yet? Did you do this yet? Do you remember this, right? This morning my older one's going to swimming and he couldn't find his water bottle, everyday things like that. I'm just like, I just wish I don't have to repeat myself.
Carey can't wait.
So excited for this conversation right now.
Carey's chomping at the bit. Before you get into it, Carey, I just want to take a moment to step back and just appreciate that adulting is just this insanely large endeavor. And in some ways, we'll never catch up to it. Because I've seen this, I've had people come in, we've fixed them right up, we've created their systems, and guess what they did right afterwards? They bit off more. So we are greedy people, and we want to live as much life as we can, and that is fantastic. But we also need to have industrial grade systems to really be able to support that big life that we want to live. And the truth is that the more big life that we live, the bigger life that we want to live afterwards. So in some senses, we're going to fix you right up, Bonnie, but also in some senses, just realize that this is just the never ending chase, right? It goes to an asymptote. We never get to this end point where we're like, oh, I'm finished. And believe me, take Carey and I as an example. Every time we hit a new peak, we look at the next peak and say, well, I wonder if we could get there.
Yeah.
And then we need even bigger and better systems. So we need to operate with even more leverage. So Lifehack, before we even start this conversation, what Lifehack Method stands for is if you want to live that big life and you want to make it look easy, we've got to have the tools and the techniques and the systems to support that big life. And that seems so boring, but the prize at the end of the rainbow is just so juicy, which is having it all without having to do it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna toss it to Carey. Carey, which part of the steak do you want to start biting off right now?
This is a big conversation. Well, I'll start by saying you may feel that you have no systems right now, but actually everything that you do every day is part of a system. It may not be your ideally designed system, but it is in fact a system. Like you have a system for getting ready in the morning. Your kids have their systems, however.
Yeah, the system is you do everything and you remember everything. That's the system.
Bonnie asks you a million questions to make sure that you have your goggles and your towel and your water bottle to go to your swim lesson. So that is the current system. So I think the first step is sort of acknowledging that like, oh, I don't have to create systems here. I'm not like, masterminding some system. It's like there's already a system. I just need to optimize the system. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of step one. Step two is with systems creation, it tends to be to start too big. It tends to be like, let me create all my household systems right now and create some grand master scheme. And in our experience, it works much, much better to start small. So the water bottle example is a fantastic example where you can be like, I am noticing that my child cannot find their water bottle. So let's focus just on that element of the system. How can we design a way such that they always know where their water bottle is, or it's always in the same place, or it's intuitive where it would be, so we're not hunting all over the house for it? That tends to be at least a much better place to start when you're grappling with like so many disparate systems. So we could start with, I don't know if Demir, if you want to start.
Can I just speak in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to speak into that really quick and hopscotch on that one. The other thing is you can build systems that have resiliency in them. So one of the things that we did is whenever we traveled, we were too cheap to buy, extras of everything. So every travel day, it was like we had to go around the house and find where's that one charger that fits that one thing. And finally, we were just like, can we afford to just buy an extra USB charger wire and just keep it always inside? So, with the water bottles, part of me is thinking too, like, how much is can we buy 3, 4, 5 of these water bottles? Can we just have more water bottles? So, systems don't always have to be down to the decimal point accurate. Like we always know where that water bottle is. It can be, let's figure out how to store the water bottle in a place where we can find it. But another system could be, and let's buy more water bottles so that when they invariably get left somewhere, we've just got some more waiting in the wings. So I just wanted to bounce off that one, Carey.
Yeah, so this obviously those are just broadly applicable system strategies, is start small and or find creative ways to solve for it. So it might not be just like, this has to work and it has to be this exact thing. You might want to expand outside the box and do what Demir's suggesting. It's like whatever you can do to make life easier for yourself. But Demir, I suggest we start with the health and wellness habits here that Bonnie specified, or where do you suggest?
I had a note to myself because I'm all about leverage. Have you heard me banging on about leverage? Leverage. I'm like proselytizing the religion of leverage, right? And leverage is pretty simple. What is the smallest thing that we can do to get the biggest permanent results? And so when we look at the 4 that you mentioned, health routines, home organization, parenting logistics, and family connection, where do you either have the most pain right now in terms of like, wow, when this doesn't work, it really blows everything up? Or where do you think you have the most leverage, which would be to say, man, if I could just fix this one small thing, it would make everything else breathe easier?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the biggest pain is the health piece, because I did just have a serious health situation. So it's on top of mind that I want to be proactive again, when I think for me, I think for everybody in the house, right? Like be proactive with the kids and my husband and, making sure they're getting enough sleep and eating the right food and doing the exercise and going to all our appointments.
Yeah.
It's all of that. And I always have these ideals. It's like ideally is I have all the appointments set up for the whole year and we follow through and go see the chiropractor and the naturopath and take the vitamins and, all of that. But that's not the case. I do have, like what Carey says, I have a loose system, like, because we're all working with something, but it's not like concrete. Yeah.
Sounds to me that this is something, well, there's two areas of leverage here to start with the health routines. The first area of leverage is, now I had a full spectrum health executive checkup done in 2023, and they caught a melanoma. They caught it very early, and it wasn't a problem. If I had not done that, because there was no sign that there was anything wrong, if I had not done that checkup, it would have become a big problem, right? So one of the things that's so leveraged about staying healthy is that when we catch things early, it's not a problem. When we catch them late, it's a big problem. So health itself, just as a broad category, staying healthy and being proactive about your health is extremely leveraged because we sort of the last thing we think about, right? Like, oh, I feel healthy today. But when you get unhealthy, like it becomes a really big deal. The whole world stops and work stops and, everything sort of grinds to a halt. So there's an embedded inherent high leverage in doing things for your health and living healthy. But also it sounds like this is just something that's very much weighing on you and it's on your mind. And that's actually a dimension of leverage that I think we don't appreciate a lot. That even if something isn't the most leveraged thing, but you are thinking about it a lot, worrying about it a lot, feeling bad about it at a high level, that just removing that dark cloud over your head can just feel like a weight has been lifted. And so there's leverage there. Carey, I'm going to toss to you.
Yeah, definitely. Love that. Thank you, Demir. And I would just say with health, because it is sort of like a huge area where you could always be doing more and spending unending amounts of time and energy focused on your health, it becomes very important to define what success looks like for you and for each one of your family members, because it'll also change every year, of course, and it depends on the family member. So you mentioned, okay, we're talking about maybe it's like eating healthy. So maybe that's a dimension of success where you're like, okay, and my definition of eating healthy is following this set of, diet, or it's one family meal together a day. Like it could look so different for every single person. So if I were you, I would just put pen to paper right now and discuss for each member of your family, what is my definition of success here? What am I going to go after? And then we can look at that list and decide if it's actually reasonable. Because crucial for health and wellness habits is that you actually stick to them, because they are habits, especially for things like taking vitamins and this sort of thing that people tend to do really well for like a week and then they sort of fall off of it. So whatever you decide, hey, this is what success looks like, you've got to be happy with it. And it has to be reasonable given everything else going on in your and your family's lives. And then once we do that, so it's like, okay, here's the vision, here's, check the box, is it reasonable or not? Then is when we shift into the execution and the design of, okay, when am I actually going to do this in the week? What is this actually going to take in terms of time and energy? And where is it going to happen specifically?
And Carey, I just want to bounce off that. The other thing I do is not just break it down into one milestone, I'd break it down into sort of escalating milestones. So I would say, okay, of jumping, instead of a little frog jumping across the entire pond, which its little legs can't do, it jumps on the lily pads, right? First lily pad, second lily pad. So, if you took this whole big idea of this full vision is what healthy living would look like for my family, if we started breaking that off from easy to hard into the easiest bits, ascending into, okay, these would be harder and harder and harder, that's the order in which I'd want to see you executing this on, so that you could start seeing benefits right away and feeling that progress of like, okay, well, this week we're doing one more healthy thing and I've built it such that it feels very sustainable and repeatable. Now I'm going to pass the mic to you. I want to hear, like, maybe you could give us a small sampling of like, what are some of the health routines that you're trying to build for your family so that we could start getting more tactical?
Okay. I'll give you a challenging one for me. And I would love to have some clarity and strategy around this is getting off screens like a couple of hours before bed. That's the ideal for everyone.
For whole family? Yeah, for whole family. Okay, great.
That's not happening. It's usually like
Easy. I've got an easy solution here. You're not going to like it, but it's incredibly easy. Okay, I've got the cheap version and the expensive version for you. Do you know those little garden timers that it's like literally a clock, and you just sort of turn it, and it has the time of day. They're usually used to turn lamps on and off at certain times of the day when you're traveling. They cost like $5 on Amazon. Carrie and I, when we found that we were over consuming digital content too late at night, we plugged one of those into the main router in the living room, the router where all the internet came in on. And every night at, I forget what it was, like 8:30 or 9 o'clock, the internet would just turn off. Now, if it was an emergency, and by the way, it didn't turn off for the rest of the night because there's things like security cameras and everything that are plugged into it. It would just turn off from like 8:30 to 10, just long enough for us not to have internet during bedtime. And then it would pop right back on, and then we'd be connected all throughout the night in case we needed it. So this is a remarkably cheap and incredibly effective way to restrict internet, right? Now, I know phones, people, if they hide their phone away, you've still got cell phone and all that kind of stuff. But just in term broadly, it is that little kick in the rear end at the end of the night, because you don't want to go over, if you're building a system that we want to get off our devices, the last system you want to build is that you have to go waggling your finger to everybody and saying, you shouldn't be on your device. That makes you the bad guy, and makes you have to do extra work every night to get everybody off their devices. How much better would it be if devices just don't work? They just get turned off. Now, also, parental controls on almost every single cell phone, if your kids have devices, whether it's an iPad, the truth is that it's actually quite easy to set up parental controls that turn off the devices at a certain time. That's already built. That's a problem that's already been solved by Android and by Apple. So you might have to go online and look at a little tutorial, or go on ChatGPT and say, hey, I want to figure out how to turn my kid's iPad off at 8:30 at night so it's not working between the hours of 8:30 and 10, or after the hours of 8:30. Totally solved problem. You just got to go on ChatGPT and do a quick little search. So actually, it's funny you said this was a really tough problem. It's actually one of the easiest to solve logistically. But now let me toss it back to you. When I say that, how does that make you feel?
yeah, it feels good. And I have thought about it in terms of like, okay, because I actually want the internet, and we just haven't implemented it. I want the internet turned off for like EMF rays and whatever, like when we're sleeping. And I was like, oh, and I don't, it's more the like mechanism and how to do it, like through our internet provider, like the step by step. And then the other piece, now that you're speaking about it, I think part of it is more like the parenting communication. There's like that communication and persuasion piece, because my teenager, they're like, our friends are up till 4 a.m. in the morning. Can't I just stay up till 11?
Yeah.
Like that, right? So there's that piece too. It's like getting them on board and getting myself in integrity with what I want.
Yeah.
I would say, like, for our family as well, what's really helped there is trying to not just cold turkey it, like, hey, this is now the policy, tough luck, you guys. More just like, how can I create something that's going to fill that void? Like, they feel that something is being taken away from them. So what is something, rather than just like logical reasoning, which probably isn't going to work, how can I put something even better, or not, maybe not even better, but like something at least in its place, so that they don't feel that sense of loss so strongly. So, for example, one of the things that we do with our girls is we'll do a lot of like hosting events at our house, like parties with our neighbors and our best friends, to do like pizza party nights, or grill nights, or afternoon barbecues, so that then they're actually getting all that energy out and sort of in that early evening time period. And so then when we're like, great, it's bedtime, they just go straight to sleep because they're so tired. And they don't miss that feeling of like, well, I need to watch my iPad for an hour now before I go to sleep. So obviously it'll be different for your kids because of their ages. But that's something to consider too, is like, what are the family traditions that I'm going to start that's going to fill this time now that I'm saving?
Also heard is like when you say don't go like cold turkey, like I could kind of implement the days, maybe like just weekdays we do this and then ends, it's stays on.
Or if it's 11 o'clock right now where they're on their device, let's just start at 10:30. Just say, okay, we're just, we're gonna edge it in, right? I think it's okay. God, there's so many ideas coming to my head. I think the most important is that I think it's okay to communicate something to a child that they don't want to hear. I think they still receive it, even if they reject it in the words that are coming out of their mouth, especially when it's coming from truth. And the truth is, hey, it's not healthy for your body or for your mind to be on digital media right up until sleep. And my number one job as your parent is to keep you safe and to teach you the ways that you can be successful and healthy as you become an adult. This is a very small thing that'll have a big impact for you. So I hope you understand it, but even if you don't understand it, this is what we're going to do because, our kids love to run into the street and they hate it when I, make a big deal and say, no, stop. And, sometimes they throw a fit like, no, dad, let go of my hand in the middle of the street. They're trying to let go of the hand. And I grab their hand and they're screaming and crying and I take them to the other side of the street. And then I stop and I explain like, listen, I want you to be happy, but my number one job is to make you safe. And so I hope that you appreciate that even when you're not happy, I'm not doing this to make you unhappy. I'm doing this because my number one job is to keep you safe. I think on some level, over many interactions, they are receiving that because they actually repeat it back to me or to each other. Our older daughter will say to our middle daughter, Daddy's job is to keep you safe. So it's getting in there. I know the message is getting across. Right?
Yeah.
One more tactical idea was also, earning credits and saying like, hey, every night that we go without internet before bed is a night where you earn a credit. And once you get these many credits, we get to do something else that's really fun for you. So at least there's this sense that it's like I'm earning something, I'm doing something. This will ultimately lead to something that I want.
One other thought too, Bonnie, there is that the struggle with like peer pressure is so real and it's going to be something that they have to face their whole life. But in this period, when they're teens, you do have a slight advantage, which is in some cases, you can go to those other parents and explain your rules of the household to them, not to try to get them to do the same thing, but simply to explain to them how you are choosing to parent your kids. That's something some of our parents in the neighborhood have done with kids, your kids' age, very effectively, which is just like, hey guys, can we all sort of like get together and share what are our household policies here? Because my kids are saying, these kids are up till 4:30. Like, is that the case? I know we all want what's best for our kids. And so they've been able to come to just at least a mutual understanding of, hey, my kids don't have phones. Your kid has a phone. My kids only have like the communication watches things. So everyone sort of is in the loop. And I think that really, really helps to feel like, hey, my kids aren't like ganging up on me with all their friends. It's like, nope, I have my coalition of parents on my side as well.
Right. That's great.
Let me just pause. And I just want to emphasize something about what we just talked about so far. So I think default, without really putting much thought into it, the system becomes the parent who cares about it the most, who holds the vision most tightly for what could be, ends up sort of defaulting to, well, I guess I'm now the nag on this thing. And I've just got to go get everybody on board.
And I don't want to be the nag because
Who does?
myself, right? I'm like, oh gosh, like it's coming out, and I don't like it. I don't want to be that.
No, you don't want to experience yourself that way. It's too much mental load for you, and it's fundamentally unfair. That's not what we do. You don't have to get your kids on board, but I do think at a minimum, you want to get a certain amount of buy-in from your partner. and make sure, okay, are we aligned on this? We're going to suffer from this too. Carrie and I are debating right now doing a week without sugar for our daughter, and we know it's going to be terrible. And so we're still in this process. Carrie's like, I don't know if I'm in alignment right now. Like, this is going to be hard because we're going to have to do it too, to be fair to the entire family. And so, getting that alignment, even if you don't have the kids' alignment, for sure, try to get it. But if they don't give it, that's fine. You can go without their alignment. But then in execution, make sure that it's very simple execution. There's also, I wanted to mention, Amazon has these Wi-Fi enabled plugins. So it's basically plugs into the wall and then you plug the device into it. So if you have like an Eero mesh network where there's not just one source of internet, but maybe there's multiple sources of internet, or you want not only the internet to go out, but every single internet repeater, you also want it to turn off. And these things are like $10 a pop, right? I mean, they're really not going to break your bank. And so I would encourage you to think about a way where you can set it up once, the internet turns off, and that's it. And so now instead of, coming to, and also I'd try to make it where you can't, make it so that it's not coming to you and nagging you to turn. It's just, this is what it is. The internet has now gone off. Like the sun has set. What do we do about it? Nobody can make the sun come back up. It's done. It's set. Like, it's dark now. So making it more of a force of nature, making it less about harassing people. You shouldn't be doing this. I'm telling you to stop doing this. That's how we create a system where it's now become part of the ambient environment.
Mm-hmm.
Allow me to expound just a second and make a point about this that's universal to all the other systems that you're going to create. I used to think that willpower was like this huge muscle, right? That we could just willpower our way through things. I think now willpower is like the muscles you have in your pinky finger. They're muscles, all right, but they're not very powerful muscles. They're like precision muscles. So we really need to move as much of what we used to do with willpower into something that happens automatically as a function of your environment. There's an automaticity and an automation to it. And what's great is we live in this beautiful world now where you can actually set it up on your phone once and now it's automated. Go do the parental controls. Their phones are turning off at 8:30. It's like, you have to go on ChatGPT, you have to learn how to do it. But once it's done, either free or incredibly cheaply, now for all time, the internet just goes off at 10 or 9:30 or 9 and it's off and it's just done. And you don't have to be the person who does it.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to check it out for the Amazon piece that you recommended.
Keep thinking outside the box when we talk about automaticity, because there's so many ways to solve this problem. It's not just about the wall timer, right? Like, imagine for a second, we had a client actually do this. So what she had was, I think it was her nephew or her niece or something. Her niece just started magically showing up on Thursday nights to take her girls out to go to the mall and do something fun with them. So obviously she was paying her niece to do this, but I mean, her kids didn't care. It was like, what? We get to go out with this super cool, like slightly older, cousin of ours who can drive and she has her own license, and we get to do something fun for a little bit and then we come home. And it was so much more exciting than whatever they were going to do on their devices at home. So keep thinking outside the box on like, how am I going to fill this gap with something that is a better leverage of their time too. That's teaching them more about independence. That's making them learn a new skill potentially. That's just like making them feel happy and energized, which is why they want that dopamine hit from their devices, but it's actually not even giving them the payoff. It's just making them want it more and more and more. What would really be satisfying is like a game of laser tag. They just don't realize that. And probably since they can't drive, they're not as independent yet.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Like in the same topic matter, kids and taking care of stuff at home, so outside the internet and screens, just like picking up after themselves, like how do you systematize that?
So I would recommend checking out something for your home systems. You can Google this or use ChatGPT to look up Hearth. Hearth, like a hearth around a fireplace. The Hearth device is one of those wall devices that has a shared family calendar with like family routines and family checklists per family member and like a points system. meal planning, and it goes on your wall. And that ends up being actually incredibly important. The fact that it's like visual and on the wall at all times, even though you already have like a million devices, it's like, do we really need one more device? It's like, yes, this is actually very important when it comes to things like you want to establish habits that the kids are doing, because then you want to be reviewing their checklist. So rather than being like, oh, you didn't pick up your stuff, it's like, oh, okay, go to the Hearth and review your checklist now. There's your checklist. It's on the Hearth. So go review the checklist, and you're not going to get your points, or you're not going to get your reward, or we're not going to be able to leave the house until all of your items are checked off. There's even, I think they have like streaks and stuff like that now, so that you can also say, hey, oh my gosh, insert child's name. Well done. Like, wow, you're on a 7-day streak with that. That's incredible. I got you this special prize as a reward for that. So you start creating that positive reinforcement for the behavior instead of being the nag, which is negative reinforcement, which doesn't work and makes you unhappy.
Yeah. And I would just say, this is hard because they might not ever clean up after themselves, but even the smallest indications of cleaning up after themselves, you really want to jump all over that and celebrate it. Like, and sometimes you're almost fabricating it out of thin air because it's so not there. But, sort of just putting a knife back. Hey, wow. Hey, thank you so much. And I think also explaining, my father had a thing where he really explained the value of how much faster you can work when you clean up after yourself after you work, right? This idea of like, when we're done with the tool, we don't put it down and then come do a big cleanup later. We actually put the tool away right then. And I saw him modeling that, and he just modeled it and modeled it and modeled it. He would do a little bit of like, hey, what are you doing over there? You're making a huge mess. You're going to have to clean this mess up, and you're not going to like it. Why don't we just clean up? So I think a little bit of noticing can be fine. And, as long as you're like, okay, well, you're going to have to clean it up. Do you really want to toss all the balls out of the ball pit? You're going to have to come back and clean all of those up, but you really have to be the person who lays down the line and says, hey, we're not going anywhere, and you're not doing the thing that you want to do next until you clean up that mess. And I just want to be clear, I didn't do that to you. That is a natural consequence of what you have done. So there's a woman that I follow who's great. She's just all about, there's a new FAFO. I'm not going to say F around and find out. I'm not going to say the word, but it's like a style of parenting, F around and find out. That's really about consequences and communicating that consequences are not coming from you as the parent. I'm not making these consequences happen. These consequences will happen the moment that you decided to do X, Y, and Z. So the consequences don't emerge from me. The consequences emerge from the rules and the environment, right? You did this. I've reminded you a million times to clean up after yourself. You didn't, and that's your choice. So you incur the consequences, and that's fine too. I'm agnostic. I'm not upset. You're not personally violating me. It has nothing to do with me. This is about you operating in this environment where there's rules, and the rules have consequences. And if you don't mind the consequences, well, then just go ahead and don't do it. And then you'll have to take 30 minutes to clean up before you want to go out and play with your friends or do whatever it is. Now, we are getting a little bit askew of where Carey and I sit in terms of our zone of excellence. We're not parenting experts, and we feel that every single day. So we'll zoom back, but I want to just anchor into what Carey said. I'm a big leverage guy, and I always want to find the big solution. I call it the silver bullet solution, like that one thing that's going to solve everything. And interestingly, as home logistics have piled up, I've just realized that there really are very few silver bullets in home optimization and home systems. It really is just an accumulation of golden BBs. Some of them end up being really impactful, but you don't really know it until you turn the card over. So, maybe you're playing a game of cards, and one of the cards, Carey's got me into Mahjong. So maybe you're playing Mahjong and that could be the tile that really completes the hand. The problem is I don't know until I collect the tile and turn it over, right? So using that Mahjong example, right? Sometimes you look at things and you think, this will take me 15 minutes. Is it really even worth doing? And my new philosophy is, if it takes me less than 30 minutes to set up a new home system or optimize something in the home, I'm just going to do it because if I do 20 of them, there's going to be 2 or 3 that ended up being much more higher impact than I thought. Quick example, Carey and I set up on our Apple Watch the intercom app. Very few people know about this app. All Apple Watches have a little intercom app where you can literally just push a button, and wherever this person is at, anywhere in public, if they have cell phone reception, their little iPhone's going to buzz and they're going to hear a beep, and then they're going to hear your audio. I thought, this would be helpful because we have a 3-story house and sometimes I'm yelling through the house, and it's hard not to feel like your spouse is yelling at you when I'm not mad. I'm just trying to, be heard. But when Carey does it to me or when I do it to Carey, it's sort of like, I'm being yelled at right now. We just got sick of all the yelling. I couldn't find her. Sometimes her phone wasn't answering. And I just thought, you know what? I'll take 2 minutes and I'll go on ChatGPT and figure out how to set up this darn intercom app. Can I tell you, Bonnie, this was the mega hack of 2025. On its face, it just looked like any old thing that I was like, maybe this will work, maybe it won't. I'm telling you, this has created so much more chill and calm in my operations with Carey. The point there is not everybody needs to go up and set the intercom app on their iPhone. The point is that you probably have a big list of these things like organizing your coffee station, or organizing how your refrigerator is stacked, or the flow of your kitchen, or how things are stored, or your closet, or your storage. There's any number of how we do the chores. There's any number of things that you might just think, gosh, is this really worth doing it? And I would encourage you, if it's less than 30 minutes, to just do them all. And know that out of any 20 that you do, there will be some duds. And that's okay.
That's fine.
30 minutes of my time. Doesn't matter if it's a dud, but some of them will be like this for us. And it'll just be like, whoa. And you can't really know.
Because it's leveraged. And so what Demir's pointing out here is that he started from a place of frustration. He identified something that was frustrating him, yelling through the house. He set up the walkie-talkie app on our Apple Watches so that we could easily communicate and alleviate that issue. So something that was frustrating to me is always having to run back up the 3 stories of our house whenever one of my kids forgot their socks. It's like we're ready to go. We're going down, we're putting on shoes. Oh, I don't have any socks. To go all the way back upstairs and get the socks and come back down, it's so annoying to me. So we just started storing their socks where their shoes are. So now whenever we're doing laundry, the socks go back downstairs to their shoes, and we always have socks. So this was amazing for me. So it's going to look different for you. It's different for everybody. But I think making a list of all the frustrating things is a good place to start. Another thing that's really frustrating to me is when one of our housekeepers puts our pots and pans away in different spots every time. Mm-hmm. Very frustrating, hard to find things. So I made every drawer look exactly the way I wanted, took a picture of it, laminated the picture, and pasted it to the side of that cupboard so that anybody looking at that knows these are the items that go here. This is their home. And now they can do that work without me having to instruct them and tell them repeatedly where things go. So I would start there. Start small. Start with the things that are just like really annoying you.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
I do think we should talk before we finish about batching. So batching is interesting. There are some things that you can set it and forget it. Like all you have to do once is figure out how to use the parental controls on your kids' iPads. And you do that once and set it and forget it. There's some things that
for the socks, that's kind of like set it and forget it, right? A new location.
Yeah. You create the system once, you set it, you forget it. Those are great. Let's collect as many of those as we possibly can, right? But there's always going to be those things that have to be done again and again. For example, if you are creating there's these little containers for supplements where you sort of pre-batch all of your supplements, and then in the morning, evening, night, you just grab your supplements, you take them, and it just makes it a lot easier because you're not opening 16 different containers and having to store those all. And you can actually now store them a little bit further away, maybe deeper in a pantry, because you've gone through and batched. But still, at some point, once a week, once every 2 weeks, once every month, whatever it might be, you're going to have to batch it, right? And so I think having a cadence and a schedule where when you're going to set up something like, say, for example, the supplements system and the vitamins and supplement system, you're going to want to be thinking long and deeply about, okay, yes, I'm going to have to keep doing this over and over again, but what is the right cadence? And you want the cadence to be as infrequent as possible so that once you sit down and have a session where you say, okay, this is the session where I just batch all of my supplements and put them into little tiny containers. Now, 3 months is probably too infrequent, right? Like you don't want to batch 3 months of supplements because now you've got to store a bunch of supplements and maybe you change your supplement routine in the meantime. That feels like a little too long. Every week feels like, I don't know about you, but I'm probably not going to do it if it's every week, right? So you're going to find this place that works for you. I'm just going to hypothetically say that it's either every 2 weeks or 1 month. And you're going to say, okay, I've bought a ton of these little tins. And, once I finish them, I put them over in this box. Once a month, I come out and I watch my favorite TV show. And all I'm doing, me and my husband or, me and my kids, all we're doing is we're just boom. And when you consolidate that work and you find something fun to do while you're doing it, all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is, we can actually knock out in 30 minutes what probably would have taken us 4 hours if we'd had done it weekly because, you're just doing it and then doing it again. And then you can amortize the benefit of the work that you do over a longer period of time. So then you feel like, yeah, it's 30 minutes and I don't really want to do it, but you know what? Boy, we can get it done so fast when we all pitch in and it lasts for a whole month and then the work's been done for us for a whole month.
You have a batching list that you do?
A batching schedule?
Actually batch? Because I'm like, oh, what are the things that you can batch, right? I was like, does laundry go in that list?
I mean, everything's batched. Let's be honest. You're not doing laundry with every piece of clothing. So laundry is already batched, right?
Laundry often because, the kids go to their soccer games or they go swimming and they come home and I'm like, oh, I need to wash this stuff.
I think laundry is a bad example. I think with laundry and dishwasher, we actually almost go the other way, which is always have it running. Not always. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but just like
Daily.
Default to run it. So even if it's a half full dishwasher, run it, right? With laundry and dishes, we're always just like, run it. I think something better would be like batching like food prep. Another thing is to batch your honeydew list. So there's those lists of like the light bulb that's out and all of the things that you need to do. Carrie and I will batch those in every other week sessions where we'll sort of take a Friday afternoon every other week. It's a bit of a treat for us because the kids are still at school and we get to hang out together. And we'll just, whatever's accumulated on that list of things, we'll just pull out all the tools and we'll do it every other week. And we never get through the lists, but we get the most important things done on the list. And then the list keeps rolling over and over, right? But we get something done, right? So that's a great idea for batching is things that can wait, that won't be pants on fire. Food is great for batching, especially when you start to think, well, we could go down a rabbit hole that we won't go down here in terms of food batching. When you think about the freezer as an additional option, now all of a sudden you realize, okay, I can actually batch. Here's a great example. If Carrie's going to make this amazing meat sauce that she makes like sort of I don't know what you call it, but a Italian meat pasta sauce. We will make as much as she can reasonably make in the largest container that we have in the kitchen. Right? Even if that's way more than we need tonight, it's like the extra work of making a full pot is comparable to making a half pot. It's just that now we have some in the fridge and a ton in the freezer downstairs that we can actually use again. So that's also a good way to think about batching. Less is like, I do this every 2 weeks, and more is like, every time I come around to do this thing, I'm going to max it out with the resources that I have, right? So the pot in this case is the resource, right? Like the resource, I'm not going to buy this huge pot. Like, okay, the biggest pot we have, we're going to make as much pasta sauce as we can at that point, so that we're not just making dinner tonight, we're actually making dinner for 3 or 4 or 5 more nights down the road.
Yeah. That's a great example of batching. I think what you're talking about too is like, where is the line between batching and then just habits? So another way to do things that are just very repeatable or that need to be done a lot. So dishes, laundry, this sort of thing is to make it a habit and a routine for everybody. So for example, when I've done my setting the house up for the night checklist, which is my checklist on my Hearth program, and I go up the stairs, that's my cue. So me walking up the stairs at the end of the night becomes a cue to start the load of laundry. So I go to all the rooms, I gather all the laundry, I start the load of laundry, then I transport over to the dryer again, like about an hour later when all the kids are sleeping. So that's a habit. So habits are powerful because why? They can be done with some level of automaticity. It doesn't take me a lot of brain power to remember it because I'm so used to doing it. I just sort of automatically do it. Another great habit to try to instill for you, if you can get all your family members on board even better, is this habit of don't put something down, put something away. So I get out the pair of scissors. I use the pair of scissors. Do not put the pair of scissors down. Go and put this pair of scissors away right away. So that will help you keep your spaces much more organized and clutter-free because you think in your mind, putting it away will be so much extra work. And it's not, because you're already doing the action of putting it somewhere. Have that be the place that it belongs rather than your kitchen counter.
I love that, by the way, as a mantra. And that's something we've been doing with our kids a lot is don't put it down, put it away. Or, if you can recognize this, hey, good job putting that away instead of putting that down. Right. And so, by the way, you're doing them a huge, favor as they get older, because that one small thing.
I've never heard of that before. And I'm like, that would be great for me and my husband to do.
Right.
Yeah.
If it was just you and your husband, it would be huge.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that.
Totally. Well, I think we've covered quite a bit here. So I want to toss it to you and see if there's anything that you feel that you haven't. But I think it all collapses into this idea.
Yeah, you like a lot. And I really appreciate everything I heard so far. And I have one more area. I love to hear how you do it. And is this a batching thing or is it a habit thing? Which is in the world of decluttering. So, there's stuff that always comes in, right? Like clothing, schoolwork, right? And, I have this magical thinking of, I want to go look at what they've done in school and enjoy it. But they pile up in this container. And eventually I'm like, do I throw it? Do I go through it? Do I park it somewhere? So I'm curious, is it batching, habit? How do you manage decluttering clothing?
So, one of the things that we didn't mention that we should have, and I'm glad you asked this, recurring calendar appointments are your friend, even if you ultimately have to violate them, right? Now, you can go too far both directions with this. If you don't have any recurring calendar appointments, there's definitely something wrong with you. So for example, Carey and I have a biweekly recurring calendar appointment on Friday afternoon to work the honey-do list together. That's a recurring calendar appointment. At a certain point, if you go overboard, you'll have too many recurring events, you'll violate all of them, they'll become meaningless to you, and you won't do them, right? So just know that this is like a U-curve where you want to sort of be in the middle of the curve, not on either of the edges. But this would be a great thing for you, for example, to say hey, every Thursday evening or every other Thursday evening, I have a little calendar appointment that's, 30 minutes or 60 minutes to just go through and batch their homework or throw it away. It's basically batch or throw. And if you give yourself a rule around that, hey, if I don't have time to batch it, then the rule is it gets thrown. So every 2 weeks, you've got this cadence of okay, if I didn't make the time over 2 weeks, this is the time that I either make the time tonight or it's time to throw it away. That gives you what I call positive pressure. A lot of people experience that as negative pressure. Oh gosh, no, that's but it's actually this is something really positive, because if we don't have any hard edges to push against, we're just going to let that pile grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And then it becomes meaningless. There's no joy in processing through it, right? So I actually find that recurring calendar events can really be your friend, and setting some consequences around that. If X gets to Y point, then I am forced to do Z, right? So if our kids' castaway clothing gets to 6 boxes, I automatically have to get rid of 1. 5 is the limit, right? I'm just making that up, right? But there's sort of if X gets to Y point, I have to do Z. This can be really helpful as just pre-deciding where your rational limits are, so that things don't start to pile up at a level where now they create anxiety and fear, and you take something that you would otherwise want to do and enjoy, like looking at their schoolwork, and you turn it into something that you dread and feel bad about.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a different take on that because I guess like I do it more as a daily basis. Like we have an extremely uncluttered home. Demir and I are both not minimalists because we have kids, but striving to be more minimalist. So what I typically do is say Gigi's made some different art pieces at school. I'm like, great, this is so beautiful. Great job, honey. And I sort of have a place in our kitchen where they sort of park for a couple days. Now that serves a purpose, which is I'm not sure how precious these things are to her yet. And so I want to leave them out for a little bit to see if she's like, goes back to look for them again. So this is obviously because she's little, right? If she doesn't, then what I'll do is either if it's like something I've seen a million times before, like, great, you did another picture of a house. I get it. Good job. I will just surreptitiously throw it away, right? If it is something new that she's done for the first time and I'm genuinely like, I want to save this forever, two things will then happen. One is I will write her name, the child's name and the date on the piece. Then I will do two things. I'll take a picture of it with my phone and save it to a folder on my phone called Kids Artwork. At this point, it might expand as they actually get into like real academics. And then if it's something I want to display, we have these two photo cases on our wall that are those like thick photo cases that are designed for kids stuff with like elastic on them. And I'll pop it in one of those. So then I'm only saving like the best stuff for the whole year. And then every year I just grab that packet of work out of it when it's stuffed full, and I'll just save that. And I have a big box for each child where I'm saving like some pieces from each year.
I want to emphasize to the user, she doesn't take the old piece down and put the new piece up. She just puts the new piece on top of the old piece. So there's this like collection happening.
Yeah. So I don't have to keep taking it down repeatedly. It's just like, it's just going to go up there on the wall for a little while.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for both suggestions.
Yeah. So I want to just pull out some themes here as we wrap up. You're going to be looking for leverage, but on the smaller side of the spectrum, right? Don't start at the big leverage side. That's going to overwhelm you. You might not make it to the end. A 10-hour project, you might give up at 5 hours, right? You want to really collect some early wins here, even if it's just rearranging your coffee station, even if it's just, organizing the pantry drawer, right? It's really starting to collect some of these small wins where it's something you can do in under 15 minutes, max 30 minutes, that you do once and it's done forever. You can start to make yourself fit into that box where okay, I've got a big problem, like the internet issue. Actually, I would put that in the under 30 minutes category. I do really think if you time boxed it and you said, I only get 30 minutes, you'll get really serious. You'll go on ChatGPT and boom, 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 boom. You'll probably have the solution in 30 minutes or close to it. And that's a big problem. So also don't rule out that some of your bigger problems can also be solved in 30 minutes if you tell yourself, I only get 30 minutes to solve this problem, right? It puts you in an aggressive state of mind. We also talked about trying to create automaticity. So layer one, the gold standard would be something you do once, you never have to do it again. It keeps working for you every single time. If it's one layer down from that and it's something you do have to sort of re-up on, keep on top of, like whether it's, the honey-do list or whether it's batching food, then finding the optimal batching schedule and putting that on your calendar as a recurring event and inviting your partner if they're also part of it and just starting to get that cadence of, okay, we're doing this on a regular basis and try to make it fun. Like we'll watch Netflix and, stack up all of the supplements for the next 2 weeks, right? Whatever it might be. And by the way, get used to it. As we all get older, we're going to be taking more and more pills and supplements. So might as well make this part of your routine because it's only going to increase as we go into the future. And then the other thing that I was mentioning was there's this idea of like making systems that have a little bit of flex to them, have a little bit of resilience, right? Don't always think about it. I think somehow when you say to a person systems, they're thinking perfect. And a great system is actually something where you don't have to be perfect and there's a little bit of flexibility in it. So as we mentioned at the top of the call, the water bottle, saying, yeah, we could try to, be more rational about where we place the water bottle, but also I'm dealing with a preteen boy and they're gonna leave water bottles in at their friend's house or in crazy places. And there's nothing I can do about that. A great system for that is just creating redundancy. Let's have multiple water bottles. Is this beyond, does this cost too much, or can I actually just afford to have multiple water bottles so that when they invariably leave the water bottle somewhere, I have extras, as a backup, and this doesn't become something that's holding us up. Carey, do you want to add anything to that sort of high level recap?
No, I think that was great. I think also just starting with the areas that are annoying you the most will be an area that means basically you have more leverage because you'll be less annoyed. But I would love to hear from you, Bonnie. Like, what are the things that you're taking away from this that you're excited to go and implement?
There are many takeaways. I think the internet thing, I think I like that 30-minute pressure just to get it done. It's a big problem. So that's one. The Hearth, I've never heard of that before. So I'm look that up. Sounds like that's a system already built. It's already. Yeah. And then the don't put it down, put it away. I've never heard that before. And that sounds like an awesome habit for everyone to pick up. So yeah, I'll stick with those three as my wrap up, but I'm going to do it and look at the notes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Bonnie. It was great to get to chat with you on a deeper level.
Thank you so much. This is great.
Okay, Bonnie, thank you.